Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the Boerne Brew here on Boerne Radio, 103.9 FM and 1500 AM. And you can also hear the Boerne Brew on the Boerne Star and Boerne Radio websites. I'm the host of today's show. My name's Kerry Barboza, and I am the sports editor of the Boerne Star newspaper. And those of you who follow Boerne ISD football know that both Boerne ISD football teams had great seasons in 2025. Both of them played Thanksgiving weekend. That's a milestone for a lot of high school teams. And a few weeks ago, we had Boerne champion head coach Blaine Ellis on. And today we're going to visit with Boerne High head coach Brett Sawyer. Coach Sawyer, thank you for coming out on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, another great season for the Greyhounds. This was your third regional championship in 4 seasons. You went 13-2 this year. And I thought what was interesting, you lost the first game of the year, and then you won 13 straight, and then you didn't lose again until the last game of the year in December. So 3-month winning streak, but again, that was pretty good. And I know when it started, that very first scrimmage, I think it was against Liberty Hill, a lot of questions from that point, but they answered a lot of them during the year, didn't they?
Well, that's why you scrimmage. Try to figure out what you need to work on, what you need to get better on, what you're not doing well, and figuring out how to fix it. So the kids did a really good job in kind of regrouping and figuring out where our shortcomings were and what we needed to work on.
Yeah, and I know there was some serious concerns, that first scrimmage.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
Yeah, that was rough. And Liberty Hills, they had that guy, the defensive end, that 6'7", 300-pound guy going to Michigan.
He's not bad.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. He probably had something to do with it as well. But so you've been with the program 7 years as a defensive coordinator, and you moved up to the head coaching spot this year. You've been a head coach at other places, 2 other jobs I know before. But how was it different this year? And if so, how was it different?
The transition between those roles is obviously going to be different. What you're focused on is a little different, and you can't be as tunnel visioned as the head coach as you are as a coordinator. And so being able to get that type of relationship with the whole group and not just the defensive guys and with all the coaches and all that stuff was a lot of fun. It was a fun transition, and things we could have done better, things we could have done worse, but overall pleased with how it went and how the transition was.
Yeah, and I guess having been a head coach at 2 other places, that I'm sure that really helped you, didn't it?
Oh.
Because this wasn't your first rodeo.
It helps a ton.
Yeah.
My first head coaching job, I was 30. So I didn't know anything at 30. And throw me in a role like that, goodness gracious. And, it just makes you realize what hills are worth dying on and which ones aren't. Right. And what you need to worry about really that affects things and what you don't need to worry about as much that doesn't affect much. But those – you only get those through actually doing it before and, having that experience. So it was a lot of fun.
There's Brett Sawyer, head football coach of the Greyhounds, and one of the things the Greyhounds did this year, a couple trick plays that worked. You had I think it was a wide receiver pass. It wasn't a flea flicker, right? It was a wide receiver pass in the Alamo Heights game that went for a touchdown. Then you had the hook and ladder play, or some called it hook and lateral, in Laredo against Pioneer during a playoff game. And you had the Hail Mary. And Hail Mary's not really a trick play, but it rarely works, but it worked, and it was against Alamo Heights. So tell us about the trick plays. How many do y'all have kind of lined up, ready to go, and you work on during the week, and then it's just a matter of whether you're going to call them in a game?
We actually have a segment every day. We work on a trick play or 2. Usually have 1 a week that we work on that we like to run. If we don't run it, then we keep it for the next week. But even the Hail Mary, you have to practice that.
Yeah,
it's not something you say, hey, go deep, we're going to throw it to you. We practice that, and we do all that stuff to. If we ever do get in that situation, the kids don't freak out and they know how to body position, where the ball needs to be. And then you try to execute it like any other play. So the trick plays are no different. You have to work them. You can't just put it in and work it twice and say, you know what, this may work. It's a trick play. It's a risky one, and it's one you need to work on. And if you don't work on it, I guarantee it's not going to work.
The hook and ladder in Laredo, you used a lineman. Generally, you have the receiver catch and he pitches it to a back, someone fast, but you gave it to a kind of a big lineman. But
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but he rumbled his way in and he scored. And that was the highlight of his career. I talked to him afterwards, and he was beaming, and he was wearing a little medal. And Why did you use a lineman, a defensive tackle? What is he, about 250, 260?
Probably.
Something right around there.
He's a big kid.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever carried a ball in his life. But, part of it is when you're playing 15 weeks, practices get monotonous. And so getting a trick play, especially that involves the big guys that never get to do that kind of thing, it just amps up practice, gets everybody excited, gets a good mood of practice. So a lot of that we do just to keep the practice where we want it.
Just keep it fresh.
And then then actually calling it, he would say, I'd never thought y'all would ever call this play. So, calling it and then it working and all that stuff. It's just I don't know if we'd call that to win a game, but it was a good situation and they were playing a coverage that we thought we could execute it on too. So everything kind of worked out, and it was Coach McLean's our offensive coordinator. He's very creative on stuff like that. And, his idea was to run it right then. Sure, let's do it. And it worked. So it just makes everything way more fun, especially when you get the big guys involved.
You have one hook and ladder where it's with the receiver, you pitch it to a back or something, come out of the backfield?
Oh, yes, we've got some of that. And then every day or every week we do an outlaw period where we make the linemen be the skill kids and the skill kids have to be the linemen, and the linemen come up with a trick play and they got to execute it at practice.
Wow. With
the skill kids do it. Just something to make it fun, keep it light, and, get everybody to understand what the other ones are going through.
Well, it scored in that Pioneer. It was against Pioneer down Laredo that you scored on it, and boy, that was the big. It was everybody was hooping and hollering the whole.
He hit the Heisman. Yeah. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. And I don't know how Pioneer felt about it, but hey, that was part of the game. So, well, your district included Alamo Heights, Harlandale, Victoria West, Veterans Memorial, McCullum, and Kerrville-Tivy. And you had moved up to 5A a couple years ago. It looks like you're staying 5A D2. Is that right?
That is. And we'll stay right where we are.
And how many of those teams I just mentioned, how many are you losing? Because Kerrville's going down, right?
At least Tivy. They'll go to 4A. They've already released the cutoff numbers, but they haven't released our districts yet. So it'll change. We know we're losing Tivy. We know we're gaining, New Braunfels, and then there's a new school in New Braunfels.
Long
Creek or something like that. So they're both going to be 5A Division II, so they may be in our district. We just don't know. And we find out February 2nd. Is when the UIL releases all that. So
yeah, so New Braunfels has been a pretty good D1 power 5A, so that'd be a good challenge for you guys.
It'll be fun. Yeah. It'll be a good one right down the road, and anytime you get to play teams like that are close is going to be fun.
That is Brett Sawyer joining us here on the Boerne Brew. I'm the host of today's show. My name's Kerry Barboza. I'm the sports editor of the Boerne Star. So I know like someone like Carl Padilla, he kind of does polls and he predicts. How is he saying that your district is going to look? Is he saying it's going to have New Braunfels in there with you guys at Alamo Heights?
I haven't looked at his specifically, but there's a bunch of projections out there.
Yeah.
His obviously being one of them. But there's stuff with us projected to go to Austin area. We don't know. No, and anybody who says they know, I don't know how, because it's like getting into Fort Knox. Nobody knows what's going on. So I tend to kind of stay out of all that because there's no reason working yourself up over it when you have no idea. And February 2nd, they're gonna release it. They just actually increased the number. Everybody's up in arms that they set the number cutoffs, and then last week they redid the number.
Oh, okay.
For 5A D2, the top number. So it was like 1,300 kids to, let's say, 1,830. Well, then they just changed it to 1,870. And so that affected a handful of schools and, a couple down in the valley. So that affects our region. Who knows? My answer is I have no idea what's going to happen. But I would assume that us in Alamo Heights and Vets and probably New Braunfels and all that, because we're so close, I'd assume that we'd all be together. And then who they add to us, it could be the Harlandale ISD. It could be –
right.
Who knows? I really don't know. So –
That'll be if it's you, Alamo Heights, and New Braunfels. That'll be a powerhouse district.
I think it'd be pretty good.
Yeah,
it'd be. I like playing good teams, and those are fun to play.
Yeah. Well, you guys had playoff wins this year against Corpus Christi Ray, Pioneer, Gregory Portland, Alamo Heights. We'll talk about that Heights game in a little bit. You saw them twice. You beat them in district, and then you beat them in the playoffs. But I think of the playoff wins, I think that to me the biggest surprise was Gregory Portland because they were rolling people. Talking about Kerrville, they played Kerrville. They scored 75, I think, on Kerrville and scored like 3 touchdowns in 30 seconds or something crazy like that. So you guys held them to 7 points, and it was really a late, meaningless touchdown with, I think, a minute left or something like that. So
it was the last play of the game.
Yeah, was it?
They returned a punt for a touchdown.
Yeah,
last play of the game.
So did that, just shutting them down like that, what was the key? Did that kind of surprise you that you shut them down that much?
It was a little surprising. We knew kind of what their goals were, what their schemes were defensively. We pride ourselves in technique and structure, and they are very well coached, and so they pride themselves on technique and structure, and our front 7 played the game of the year for them. Yeah. And so we played really well. They didn't play as good, and it just kind of was a perfect storm for us. Yeah,
and then it's kind of snowballed.
Snowballed after that.
Yeah, and they couldn't stop you guys. And, talk about Kerrville, when you played them in district, like you mentioned, they're going down to 4A. I think they're going to do really well as a 4A.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. They got a lot of skilled kids. I mean, we played them in basketball last night, and most of those kids were coming back, and it's like, they're pretty good, pretty talented.
Yeah.
So I would assume they'd be probably with Davenport and them, so that'll be a pretty good district.
That would be a real good district as well. Well, let's talk about Alamo Heights. You played them in district. You beat them at Boerne ISD Stadium. You had the trick plays, had the Hail Mary, and you beat them, I think, by 3 or 4. Then you play them Thanksgiving weekend, I believe. Was that right, Thanksgiving weekend?
No, the week after that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was the 4th round. So you played them there. You beat them, but that just was a great back and forth. What a classic that one was.
It was a fun game. Yeah. That was one of those for the ages for us. So.
Yeah, and of course they have, I think, one of the best backs I've seen in a while, DK Garza. What can you say about that guy?
He is very talented.
Yeah,
very patient. He's, when those guys can go go from basically standing still to full speed in about 2 steps, and you're fast, and like he is, he's strong, and he thinks he's going to score on every play, and he's got that attitude. He's a special one. He's really, really good. I'm glad he's graduating for our sake.
Yeah. I know Ron Redmond's not too happy, but,
That's right.
But, yeah, we were up in the press box, and me and David Hinojosa from the Express News, and we were kind of researching, and I forgot but Garza hit some milestone. I think he has the 2nd most rushing yards in a season in all San Antonio history.
That doesn't surprise me at all. He's very talented. He's good.
Yeah. Well,
really, really good.
You had a pretty good one yourself. He was kind of surprised. Grant Sweeney, he's at TMI for 2 years. He's from Boerne, but he comes back to Boerne after 2 years at TMI. And I remember we talked at the beginning of the year, and I asked you about him a little bit, and you were still kind of learning about what his strengths were and about what he could do early on.
Well, he got back to us in the spring and really stepped in and filled that spot. And I don't think anybody had a question he was going to be our quarterback in the first couple of days he was there. Didn't know how great of a runner he was. I knew he was fast, but with the vision and stuff like that, I knew he had a good arm, but are you accurate in games, things like that. So he and play him at TMI. I mean, he's been a starting quarterback for 2 years. So seeing, some of that film, I knew he could be good, but I didn't see him being what he was this year. And the kind of year he had was incredible. He's a great kid. He's got a great demeanor. Always level-headed, doesn't get too big, doesn't get too down. So that's what we needed with somebody like him, kind of a calm. So we had a lot of young kids starting, so he was able to kind of calm them down a little bit, and nobody freaked out. And as our offensive line got better and better and better as the year went on, so did he.
Well, Hank Hendricks leaves, and he goes with his dad, and we'll talk about Shay Hendricks a little bit, but he goes up to Arkansas with his dad, and then, so you kind of have that spot open, and I think to me the biggest surprise with Grant was just his running ability. Mm-hmm. Just his athleticism and running ability. He's probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest guy on the team, isn't he?
He is. I haven't tied him in a 40 yet. We haven't done that testing yet, but I would assume he's up there towards the top. If not the top, he and probably Zach Frazier are going to be 1A and 1B, one way or another. So we worked run plays with him all year without running them. We tried not to call anything running game-wise unless we had to. And so once we hit the kind of later in the year, once we hit the playoffs and we needed it, then we started calling those plays. But we worked them every day since probably week 3. Had a whole quarterback run segment every day in practice, knowing we weren't going to call it unless we had to have it. So it was pretty cool once we were able to let it go.
Yeah, and in the Alamo Heights game, I believe, he had 4 rushing touchdowns, I think.
He did.
I think that's what it was. And then, of course, the dagger was the throw he made, with under a minute. What was it, 10, 15 seconds, where he threw the game-winning touchdown?
I think it was 11 seconds or something. So
like that.
That was pretty good timing.
Yeah, and he just got an award. Tell us about the award that Grant won.
Well, he's the Gunslinger San Antonio Player of the Year, which is a neat deal. He was offensive MVP of our district, and then got that award, and it's just good that he's getting recognized for the kind of year he had. And you kind of take it for granted, but when you really look at the stats and what he did, it's incredible. When you can if you throw for over 4,000 yards, you've had a heck of a year. When you run for over 1,000 yards, you've had a heck of a year. Well, he did both.
Yeah,
and his total yards on our max preps, which is what and most people keep their stats on around the country. He was 4th in the country in total yards, which I've never been a part of a guy who had that before.
Yeah.
So being able to do that was, I'm glad he's wearing purple. He's a Greyhound. I know that much.
Yeah, and that's not bad for a guy who you didn't really know exactly all he was going to bring. I mean, you knew he was going to be good, like you said, but no one knew he was going to go for 5,000 yards.
No. I mean, you don't anticipate that, and then he does it, and it's pretty special to be a part of it.
Yeah, and he, like you said, he was a 1,000-yard rusher. He was your leading rusher this year, and he's not even the running back. He's kind of like a Manziel-type runner where he doesn't run a lot, but when he runs, he hurts you.
Yes, yes, and a lot of that was on scrambles, which helped because our O-line was young. There was none of them had ever taken meaningful snaps on varsity. Our entire offensive line 2 years ago graduated. 9 out of 10 of our offensive linemen on varsity graduated. So we come in with a brand new group that have never really been in this kind of situation before. So we needed him to scramble. There was times where we would mess an assignment up or get physically beat, and he was able to make it right until our O-line kind of got their feet underneath him.
Well, and good news about Grant is he's only a junior. So
yes, we have him back. Thank goodness.
Gets to come back for another year. So you were the defensive coordinator, and then this year you take the head coaching job. So you move up. So you have a new DC, Sam Eisenberg. You have a new OCs. How did all that transition work this year?
I couldn't be happier. I love our staff. I think everybody works good together. You tell a lot about a team, how the coach's office is. When you spend so much time together, the coach's office is fun. Everybody's joking around and messing with each other and all that, the way you'd want it to be,
Yeah.
And so just being a part of that, the transition of that coaching staff has been really, really fun to watch. I think we hired 3 new coaches that hadn't been at Boerne, and then promoted Sam and hired Coach McLean, Andy McLean, as our offensive coordinator, and he just fit right into what we were trying to do and what our vision was and what we thought we could do. And he and Grant work really well together, which has been a huge deal. So and then we hired Brian Golden as our tight ends coach, and that kind of rounded out our offensive stuff. And then defensively hired Matt Counts, who's our secondary coach, he and Coach Eisenberg have become kind of really close friends, and it's fun to watch them work together. So it worked out really, really well.
Well, you mentioned Coach McLean is your new OC. You had Dave Wilkinson, who was your OC. He took the head coaching job at McCollum. Interesting, his son, Bobby Jett, plays for you. And he thought about playing for his dad, I think maybe for a half second, but he just decided to stay here with all his friends. So you guys played McCollum, so Bobby Jett's playing against his dad. His dad's, trying to beat his son on the field. So, and I know you and Coach Wilkinson are good friends. So what was that like when you guys hosted them here in that game?
It was great, and Bobby Jett had a heck of a year.
Yeah.
He played really good at corner. He's a 2-year starter for us, and so he really had a good year for us. And I teased Coach Wilkinson that I was going to put Bobby on his best receiver because I didn't think he'd really want to pick on his kid too much. And he did. He threw it out there a couple times. But it was pretty funny. But
yeah, and I talked to both of them, and I'm like, well, your dad's trying to burn you, right? I mean, you know that, right? He's, I know. Yeah, he's trying to beat me, and I'm trying to beat him, and so he's trying to make calls that are going to burn me, and I want to do it's going to beat my dad's team. So that was kind of a mixed emotion, I would imagine, during the week. And I asked both of them, I said, is there any trash talking at home during the week? He said, no, nobody. Bobby Jett said, I'm not a trash talker. I had to go out and play.
Just play.
Yeah, he had a great game, too.
He had an incredible season.
Yeah.
He really did.
Well, that is Brett Sawyer joining us here on the Boerne Brew. I'm the host of today's show. My name's Kerry Barboza, and I'm the sports editor of the Boerne Star. Well, I mentioned you took over for Coach Hendricks. He got a job, University of Arkansas. I think at the time when he left, he was coaching Nickelbacks, but then there was a coaching change, and he kind of got promoted. Mm-hmm. So what's the latest now? Because I think he's still with them.
He is still with them. He is kind of reverted back to the job he was hired at last year. So he's going to be defensive analyst, and I'm pretty sure he's still going to coach the nickel for the new people, the new staff that came in. He's the only one they really kept.
Really?
So he's there. And, of course, Hutt is preferred walk-on. He's still there. They want him to come back, so that's good news that Hutt's there. And then Hank just committed. So he's going to graduate early and commit, and he's going to go to Arkansas. So the three of them are going to be together again.
Well, that's pretty neat for the Hendricks family. But you mentioned, we were talking about Hank the other day. He's not going to play his senior year.
No. He's going to graduate early from high school, enroll in Arkansas, and basically redshirt when he would be a senior in high school. Instead, that'll be his redshirt freshman year. And he's going to be in their weight room with their nutrition people and doing all that stuff. So.
Yeah, and he had a pretty good year. I know it's in Arkansas, and they went pretty far, but I think they went far in the playoffs from what I understand.
I think so. I followed their score, and of course I talked to Coach Hendricks pretty regularly, so we kept up with all that and kind of how he was doing. But it's a little different. His friends are here, and he's there. He doesn't have. I think he does mostly online classes, so he doesn't really go to campus except to practice And so I think the bond that Boerne has with the kids, I don't know if that's able to be sustained in other states where you can just come and go as you please. It's open enrollment and all that stuff. This is kind of what's his home. And so not playing a senior year and going to Arkansas to be with his brother and his dad makes more sense when you think about it from that context.
Yeah, and then the oldest brother, Houston, he's at Air Force, still playing for the academy. And I know he's had some injuries this year, but I think, he's got one more year left?
One more year.
Yep, and then he goes. He's got a serve.
He'll go military,
yeah.
And he's excited about it. He's exactly the kind of kid you want serving in our military.
Yeah, he's a I could see him of the three brothers being the military type of the three.
Hey, the Hendricks boys did Boerne a great service in all sports, not just that. People don't realize how much they played.
Basketball, baseball. I mean, they were, of course, football, and they were special. They're special. Athletic family. Yeah. And again, another group of people, we're glad we're in Boerne with us. Well, I know you and Coach Hendricks played football together in high school, and you said you still maintain the relationship, right? You guys still talk pretty regularly?
Talked to him this morning.
Oh, is that right?
Not about football. We're thinking about going on vacation together.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we talk probably once a week or twice a week, depending on what's going on. So,
okay. Yeah.
We've been friends for so long, it's kind of the way it goes.
Well, you're talking about special players, the Hendricks boys, going through Boerne. You got two this year playing that San Antonio Sports All-Star game, mm-hmm. Blake Berkholder, Eli Nicholas. What can you say about those two and what the kind of years they had this season? Oh,
they great years this year and great careers at Boerne. Eli Nicholas, a 2-year starter at receiver and moved in here from Hawaii.
Wow.
His grandfather is Kevin Von Erich, so that he's part of the Von Erich Ranch.
Okay.
That's his grandfather. So they moved here, and we got him in, and real quiet, but that senior group is real close, and they were all kind of like that, quiet, but worked hard and did their job and did all that. So he had a great year. I think he's another 1,000-yard receiver for us, and then Blake Berkholder is a 3-year starter. And just dominant D tackle, and has been since he got here. He started as a sophomore. Even as good as our D-line was, he was one of the best ones we had then, and that just carried on through how good he is. And he's our defensive MVP of our district, so that's what the district thought about him.
Yeah, he played a lot in that All-Star game. He was in there he
was a captain, and then, yep.
He did special teams.
He's a good one.
Yeah, he did a lot. And I was talking to one of the photographers from the yearbook, and he talks to Blake and Eli, and he said, they were still not sure about college, but it seems now with the transfer portal, college recruiting for the high school kids is a lot different. They kind of have to wait to see how things go. It's
probably the worst time in the history of high school sports to be getting recruited, because even the colleges don't know what's going on, and so nothing is settled out yet. So kids like that a team might take a chance on a few years ago, they're not going to take a chance on him because they can take a chance on a portal guy
who they know
that's matured and is 2 years older. We all know that in 2 years you're different. And so take a chance on that kid, especially in the lines. So if you're not an elite player that's a freak athlete, you're not going to get the chances you used to get. So it's a hard transition time, and it'll all trickle down. They just finished the portal. Now they're working on high school, which is basically they're just looking for the elite, and then the smaller schools will wait for that all to shake out, and then they'll get going on all that stuff. So we're all trying to figure out what's going on right now in recruiting, including the college coaches.
Yeah, and you mentioned that they go to the portal. Let's say they get 5 running backs. Well, if you got unless you're a 5-star and you're pretty good, you may not have a spot on that team that you wanted to go to.
Oh, absolutely. It's a slippery slope, and it's not fair to high school kids. But colleges got to they got to win. They got to win now, and I get that part. And so you have to recruit players that are going to help you now. The building of a player for the future of the program just doesn't happen anymore unless you're a quarterback that you don't think you'll get unless you get them early or whatever it is. It's really hard right now for those kids, and I just keep telling them, be patient. Coaches are going to be coming through, and they all talk, and they all know each other because they could be fired tomorrow.
Right.
And so you don't know where they're going to end up, and just be respectful and work hard and, let yourself shine through, and everything will work out.
Well, that is Brett Sawyer joining us here on the Boerne Brew. We're about to wrap up. I want to thank you, Coach, for coming out on the show. I guess my last question would be, what are the goals for 2026 in the fall? I know you got some good talent coming back. Sweeney's coming back. I believe a couple other receivers coming back. Running back, Callan's coming back. So what does it look like for you guys? What are the goals going into 2026?
Well, the goals are high. The bar's set high. The good thing is we've won a lot, and the bad news is we've won a lot. So we're expecting to have another big year and have a chance of knocking on that door of that state championship and go Jerry World and go play for something. That's the goal. So a lot of things have to go your way. You got to get lucky. You got to stay healthy. You got to have the ball bounce a few ways. You got to maybe catch a couple Hail Marys and last-second touchdowns and all the stuff, trick plays got to hit and all that stuff. So hopefully, that's our goal. That's what we're working towards. That's anything short of what we've been doing that's not acceptable anymore.
All right, Coach. Well, I want to thank you for your time, taking your time coming to visit us here on the Boerne Brew. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Kerry, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you out there for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.